Okay, so what I have here is my Starlight Brigade Escort Class Swordfish. It is the Mk.1 first version. It has a, I don't know if it's called ambidextrous, but it's got a canopy that can be opened on either side. Entering the cockpit, you can shut it on the left. There's an eco mode that can be activated that will lock the fuel cells to discharge at 30%. A movement multiplier that goes from 0 to 100. My forward thrust panel, total propellant, total fuel in one of my two fuel cells that I have. Only need to keep track of one, as well as the generator rate. Turning on the generator will set them to 60. Activating eco will limit them to 30. Well, this will actually lock the fuel cells to discharge at 10%, meaning that the generators, as I don't have them perfectly optimized, will discharge at 30 instead of 60. I have gun heat and a charge to show that they are armed. It will charge if I arm them with that. Got battery 1 and battery 2, battery 1 being here, battery 2 being here. Battery 1 discharging before battery 2. I have a durability scanner in the back of my ship that shows me my warp class. Currently stock it is 32.29. I have the ammo for the gun. That is the button that would fire the gun if it were armed. I keep it off so that I can save fuel. Turning on my generator. The eco mode is just enough thrust, well, just enough power to cover the ship's needs when going in a straight line under maximum speed and thrust. Any adjustments to the course, you'll see the battery 1 will drop off a little bit of charge and then charge back up. The ship is stable, going full speed. With the gun on, it will drain power though if the gun fires. With that, it is fairly quick as well. It's only got 2 box thrusters, but it is a small and light enough ship. Even though I do have some corrodium plating on this, it is still a light enough ship that I do have some decent maneuverability. The control axis here, these are turned down to about 70% of what they could be. If I left them at 100, this ship would basically be a Beyblade with an engine on it. It spins just way too fast at 100%. And also, it would be too, even if I turned it down a bit on the multiplier here, it would move far too slowly. Sorry. If I were to just try to turn the multiplier down to account for that, it would move far too slowly forward to get to a point where I could aim the gun properly. Speaking of the gun, go ahead and arm that. Let it charge up, it'll go all the way to 100 before settling at 50. This is the internal gun, this is the gun's internal battery. It's got one single autocannon. It is calibrated to this site pretty well. Notice my battery is dying there, but it recharges fairly quickly, especially if I do short bursts. I designed this ship with range in mind. Turn off the gun and then activate eco mode. It'll lock itself with a generator rate of 30. With that, the ship will run for, if I can find it here, it'll run, I have an exact number that I calculated, for, let's see, the propellant will run out in a little bit over 6 hours if I fly in a straight line and do nothing else. It'll run out a little sooner, but with regular flight I give it a safe propellant range of 3 to 5, of like a 3 to 5 hour run, depending on what events transpire while you're out. But as far as the fuel cores are concerned, it will last 550 minutes. Just if you leave the station with eco mode on and full fuel cells, you'll have an uptime of 550 minutes. So the generators will last considerably longer than the propellant tank will. And with that in mind, is the Starlight Brigade, being the company that I'm in, escort class, made this to go on somewhat long runs as an extremely light defense escort for a mining vessel. That being the idea, not necessarily guaranteed to be a good defense, especially if we get boom and zoomed by some kind of pirate. But yeah, as you can see, it barely charges the battery. It is just maintaining heading on eco. Yeah, that is all I have for the operations. It does have these speakers that are not in use in the back. If I can figure them out, I will. But as far as the internals, it is named the Swordfish, the Swordfish, because of this center-mounted single autocannon that is embedded within the nose of the ship. It's got 2 radiator units, as well as 2 box thrusters. In the back here, may actually be better served to manually unbolt this. Last time I tried to get it open, it just dinked off the corrodium in the back. But or not. So I guess I just have to pick this open. There we go. I have my 2 fuel cells here in the back with cooling units above them. Each fuel cell only has 1 generator attached to it. I designed the generator in this way for longevity, not necessarily total power output. Unfortunately, this is pretty good plating. It's got alternatingly configured corrodium and aegisium plating in different areas. I tried to concentrate the corrodium in areas likely to have either sensitive internals or easily hit, with aegisium in the other places to keep the overall weight as light as possible. However, if one of the fuel cores does take a hit, the entire ship is pretty much gone. The only thing really salvageable would be a couple of maneuvering thrusters and a completely intact single autocannon. That's all I have for the Swordfish. I will be making more ships to come.